Right, now that I'm done competing, I can get back to making more instructional video type stuff. And today I wanted to break down the form that I use when I bench press in competition. This is not a bodybuilding bench press. This is a powerlifting bench press. And the whole purpose of the way I press is specifically so I can move the most amount of weight possible for a single rep. Let me break it down for you. So as always, I start my warm-ups with just the bar. I just a habit that I picked up, and if you notice when I'm pressing, my forearms are always perpendicular. I try to keep from the elbow to the wrist straight up and down at all times, no matter where my elbows are. So first thing I do is I get tight, grab the bar, lift the bar out of the rack, I have my pinkies on the 37-inch rings, and I'm focusing on contracting all the muscles in my back and my torso, and I'm getting everything nice and tight as I press. Some of the guys ask me that when I train with them, they ask, well, what do I mean when I say tighten the core up? And what I tell them is, like, imagine I'm gonna punch you in the stomach. And as you can see here, I'm squeezing my abs like I'm trying to show them off for a photograph. That's what I mean when I say get your core tight. You know, like, act as if I'm gonna punch you in the stomach. Another cue I'll often use is squeeze the lats. As you can see here, I'm trying to show you what my back's doing when I'm squeezing my lats together. So as my shoulders are on the bench, I'm squeezing my back muscles together as if I'm like trying to hold a pencil in between the small of your back, and I'm getting everything tight. So I'm doing all that. I'm squeezing the lats, I'm tightening the core, I'm just getting everything as tight as I can get. Now, as far as holding the bar, I act like I'm gonna punch you in the face. Okay, I'm not gonna hit anybody, but you want your wrist straight is really what the focus is. And I always want my forearms perpendicular to the bar, no matter where my elbows are in the lift. So if you're doing close grip, or if you're flared way out to do a guillotine press, or you've got a wide grip or a narrow grip, you always want your forearms straight. Obviously, if you go super wide, you can't be totally straight, but as straight as possible. And then, of course, the other cue is to make sure that the wrist is also straight, in line with the forearm. You want to tighten that up, lock all that in. Basically trying to demonstrate that no matter where my elbows are, whether they're flared high or low, I always have my forearms straight. So if you're pressing off the bottom of the chest, your movement won't always be in a straight up and down line. It might be up at a little bit of an angle, but the forearm is always straight. So once I'm locked in, I'm on the bench, I'm tight, everything's tightened up, the only thing that should be moving is my arms. And the only part of the arms is the shoulder, shouldn't be the back, shouldn't be any other movement in your body except for the arms. That's my normal flat bench, feet flat, legs out. What about feet tucked under, more of an arch? Well, pretty much the same thing. Even though I've got my feet underneath me and I have a much more pronounced arch, I'm still tightening everything up the same way. An important part of benching is leg drive. So as I have my feet tucked under me here, I'm pressing my heels to the ground, and I'm basically pushing myself horizontally on the bench as I press at the same time. So not only is my body tight, core is tight, my back's tight, everything's tight. I'm also using my legs to exert force as I press the bar off myself. So it's all I do that all at the same time. Now I'm going to demonstrate a press with flat feet and a small arch, and then I'm going to do one with my feet tucked under and a big arch, so you guys can see the difference. I get a lot of criticism when I bench press in competition with an arch. There's a lot of people that think that if you use a pronounced arch, it's not a real bench. To me, that's absurd. You're trying to move as much weight as possible use any advantage you can get on the platform, but typically training, yes, it's what I do a normal, more traditional bench press. There's a lot of reasons why you would want a pronounced arch, or why it could be beneficial, rather. Um, it puts you in a decline position, and most lifters are stronger on the decline bench press. Um, it's better for your shoulders. If you're an older lifter like myself and you've got shoulder issues, it can help you participate in the sport. I don't have shoulder issues. I do it because I'm stronger. I'm just demonstrating here kind of what it looks like, what I'm doing with my body as I'm pressing off my chest. Demonstrate wide grip versus close grip. Wide grip, I have my hands all the way out to the rings. Some guys go all the way out as far as hold their index fingers on the rings, or I like my pinkies because that's where it's naturally straight for my forearms to press up and down. Now, I consider close grip bench to be anything that's inside of your normal bench grip width. So if you just bring your hands in a little bit, that's considered a close grip bench. A lot of people think it's when you have your hands inside the knurling, and that's kind of hard on the wrists. You can't keep your wrists straight with your forearms, but there is some benefits to that movement in certain situations, skull crushers, that sort of thing. And the problem with doing super close grip is that it's really hard to keep your wrist straight, as I mentioned. But I'll often use them, like when I'm doing close grip bench press that narrow, I'm usually bringing the bar closer to my neck than my chest to focus specifically on hitting the triceps. So it can be a useful movement in certain circumstances. Now, you can run into the same issues with the wrists if you go super wide as well. You imagine the wider you go out, the more you have to contort your wrists to hold the bar. As you can see here, it's harder for me to keep the wrist perfectly straight, which is another reason why false grip comes in handy. You take your thumbs out of off the bar, which allows you to rotate your wrists a little bit. And there you have it. Now, that's pretty much my bench. This is how I train. This is how I bench. This is what works for me. I'm always trying to constantly improve my bench. I would say the weakest part of my lift is my leg drive. I've always had an issue with that. I'm always tinkering with foot placement. But I feel like I have a fairly confident bench. I'm 47 years old. I'm benching the better part of 400 pounds. I just wanted to demonstrate how I do it, so maybe you can incorporate something I do into your training. Maybe you can find something that you're lacking in, that this might be beneficial to your form, your technique. Just wanted to give you an example of how I like to do it. I hope this helps. Go find the heaviest thing you can find in your house right now and pick it up. Do it.